Well, I can bring you the first reaction from the SNP leader and Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon to those remarks by Ed Miliband. Nicola Sturgeon, Mr Miliband finally seems to be saying no deals. Is he calling your bluff, do you think?
No, he's not. I mean, he's saying he wants a majority. Well, yeah, he's entitled to say that, but all the polls show he's not going to get a majority. And on the 8th of May, once the votes are cast, once the people have cast their verdict, Ed Miliband, just like the rest of us, will have to respect the wishes of the people in a democratic election. And if there is a minority government, if no party has an overall majority, then it's simply not possible to ignore the views of other parties. I know that. I was part of a minority government in the Scottish Parliament. So if the SNP has a large number of MPs, firstly, we can use that clout to keep the Tories out, and then secondly, we can use it to make sure that the Tories are replaced with something better, bolder and more progressive. And that's the message to Scotland. If you want Scotland's voice to be heard and then that voice to be used for more progressive politics, then the only way to do it is to send as many SNP MPs to the Commons as possible.
But it sounds like a pretty blunt rebuff, as if he's shutting the door in your face.
Well, if that remains the case on the 8th of May, if he doesn't have a majority, then what he'll be saying to people is, rather than work with the SNP, if there's an anti-Tory majority, he'd rather watch David Cameron walks back into Downing Street. I don't want that, and the SNP will use our votes to stop a Tory government getting off the ground if there is that anti-Tory majority. I suspect Ed Miliband will change his tune once the votes are cast. The fact of the matter here is, and I think this is something that all of the Westminster leaders are starting to sound as if they've forgotten, is the people who are in charge, and politicians have to respect the democratic wishes of the people. And if Ed Miliband doesn't get a majority, as the polls are all saying he won't, then he'll have to work with other parties, and the SNP will use our influence to make sure Scotland's voice is heard more loudly than it's been before, but then to make sure that we get better politics out of Westminster for the benefit of ordinary people, not just in Scotland but right across the UK.
Theresa May says that any sort of arrangement between Labour and the SNP will produce a sort of constitutional crisis we saw during the abdication crisis. You're smiling. What do you think of that?
I think Theresa May has, just to put it pretty bluntly, made herself look completely and utterly stupid with ridiculous over-the-top comments like that. I mean, remember, this is the same Theresa May who tried to tell people in Scotland during the referendum campaign that if we voted yes, we'd lose our passports and have border controls. People will look at these silly comments, and I was going to say they'll treat them with contempt. That actually attaches too much seriousness to them. People will just laugh at her.
Nicola Sturgeon, thank you very much. So you believe that Nicola Sturgeon believes that Mr Miliband will change his tune after voting on May the 7th. Well, we'll see about that.